What's going on, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs, your family-oriented entrepreneur. Welcome to the Deal Pro podcast. And today we have a special guest, Chris Nelson from callrail. A lot of you guys know that I like to use callrail as a tool in my real estate investing business. And we're going to talk about how you can implement callrail into your business as well, whether you're wholesaling, whether you're fixing and flipping, maybe you're a buy and hold specialist, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of different reasons why I like to use callrail. It really separates itself from other resources that I've used as far as phone lines in the past. And, I've been one of the original users of callrail, still a long time user, still use it today in my real estate investing business. So we'll get into that, but we'll also talk about some other things regarding real estate investing and how, it's important to keep track of what you're doing as a real estate investor in order to really be able to scale your business. Chris Nelson, what's going on, man?
Hey, Jamel, how are you?
I'm
Thank you
doing
for having me.
absolutely, man. So you guys reached out a few weeks ago, and I wanted to get you guys on the podcast, really to see how we can help more people become even more successful in real estate. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So unlike you, I've only been associated with callrail for about 2.5 years. So you've got plenty of time on me. I started out actually career-wise, started out as a lawyer, practiced law, private practice for about 6 years. Most of that was real estate and construction. It was about 50 to 60% of my practice. So very familiar with everything that's going on real estate wise. It had started out in 2006. I call them the go-go years. It was a very, very, very different time. And then moved once I had been in there for about 5 or 6 years, moved to a flooring wholesaler and worked with that wholesaler. Started out just doing legal and HR work for them, eventually transitioned to the business side, and had done our strategy and marketing for 4 or 5 years after that, and then finally transitioned over to callrail.
Got it, man. So you have a lot of expertise in real estate from the law aspect of it. Were you doing real estate closings, or were you just focused on contract law, or what
I
were
did a grab bag.
grab bag?
Yeah, I did a grab bag. Started out with real estate financings, a lot of deals, a lot of deal structuring. Worked through, did some closings, did mostly on that side. It was mostly commercial, so large real estate development kind of closings and stuff like that.
Got it.
And then moved into land use, property tax appeals, all sorts of different things like that. And, mechanics liens, anything that a contractor might need with respect to a real estate situation also.
Cool, man. Now, are you actively an attorney at this point, or are you just focused on callrail?
Just focused on callrail. I've put got involved with callrail because they were looking to market to lawyers. And so that's one of our growth areas. They were looking for somebody who had marketing expertise and had been or in some ways involved with the law. And so that's how I got involved. My license right now, it's in a kind of dormant status.
Got it. It's so funny, man. Like, I want to say back in like 2015 ish. Now, I've already been a successful investor since 2002. Back in like 2015, I was even considering going into real estate law. More recently, I've been really contemplating because I used to be a real estate broker in Brooklyn, New York. More recently, as of like the last year, I was considering becoming a general contractor because I do a lot of flips. And rather than me paying 10 or 20% to these general contractors, I can go and get my own license and pay myself that money. So that's more so something I've been thinking about, which
Sure.
has nothing to do with real estate law. But it's just amazing how many fields you can really tap into in the real estate industry to be able to make ends meet for you and your family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It touches a lot of different stuff,
Yeah,
and it touches it on a practical level,
yeah.
not theoretical. Like you're on a day-to-day practical level, people are touching real estate in some way.
That's right, man. So what are some of the let's talk about some of the things that people can use callrail for. Now, I use it for, my real estate investing business in general. But what are some of the things that people use callrail for today?
I mean, if you talk about customer wise,
Hmm.
we have not only real estate investors, which is one of our first and foremost groups that have used callrail in their business. It's any type of business that is needing marketing to generate leads. So anything that is trying to generate those leads, and then any business that has to turn those leads into actual customers or actual, convert them to some type of revenue. So we work with home services contractors, thousands of home services contractors. We work with law firms, like I said earlier. We work with healthcare providers. We work probably our most just traditional vertical would be working with agencies and marketing agencies and anybody whose job is to generate leads. So we're doing all of those different types of businesses. Within those businesses, you're using it to understand where your leads are coming from, and then you're really using it now that we've added some different AI features. You're using it to understand and gather intelligence from the conversations that you're having with those leads.
That's right, man. Now, for those who don't know, I probably should have asked this first, but for those that don't know what callrail is, why don't we just give them a brief understanding of who callrail is and what you guys actually do?
Absolutely. CallRail is a software platform. We call ourselves a lead intelligence platform. It has three primary products. One is call tracking, which allows you to track any of the phone calls that are coming into your business. A second one would be form tracking, which allows you, if you do have a website and you're generating form submissions on your website, it allows you to track those submissions and where they're coming from. And then we have a third product, which is what we call conversation intelligence, which basically takes all of those calls and conversations that you're having on those phone numbers and allows you to pull out keywords, pull out insights, summarize the conversation so that you have everything at hand in an easily accessible way. So
Yeah.
we actually have a fourth product that we just introduced that we're calling Convert Assist, which is really designed to take those conversations, understand what's been in those conversations, and then provide you as the user with things like follow up.
Mm.
How do you follow up with that conversation? Do you have it generates emails that allow you to then utilize those emails to follow up? Different things like that. It really allows you to take it to the next level from intelligence to actual conversion of those leads.
I have to be honest, man. I'm not using callrail to its fullest potential. I didn't even know that last piece existed. So that's something I definitely have to look into myself. Initially, I use, most people who are watching this podcast right now are beginning real estate investors, or maybe they're intermediate, in between that beginning and intermediate phase where they're starting to grow their business. The reason we use callrail is for exactly what you just said, tracking. What I like about callrail the most is you can get multiple phone lines, for example, and if you're doing a lot of direct mail, you can literally track based on the phone number that you assign to, let's say, a specific postcard. Let's say you have a campaign. Postcard number one has one phone number. Postcard number two has another phone number. Postcard number three has another phone number. You can track where this stuff is coming from, and then you can eliminate what's not working, and then ultimately allow yourself to put more effort into what is actually working to get more calls in and convert more deals. So I love callrail for that. I don't know of any other system. I haven't tried any other system really, but I don't know of any other system that actually does that on that level. And that can literally help you to uh, make more money while spending less money, or at least put more effective dollars out there into your marketing. I love callrail for that. As a rehabber, and that's speaking as a wholesaler. As a rehabber, you know, if you just want a main business line, for example, you can have main business lines set up through callrail. So let's say I wanted to have a business phone number, on my, people don't really use business cards like that anymore. But let's say I wanted to put one on my website. Um, you know, I can have one of those phone numbers assigned to that. You mentioned lead forms. Where are these leads coming from, right? So you want to be able to track everything, and callrail provides you with that opportunity. Another thing I love about callrail, you can actually, so let's say someone calls me from my phone number that's on the postcard that I put out there. I can call them back through the callrail app from that same phone number, so they never have to have access to my personal phone line. So there's an app that you can download onto your phone and call directly through callrail. You can also text people from that line. So to me, it's easier for someone to recognize the phone number if they see it and they just called it. If you're calling back from that phone number, the chances of them picking up drastically increases. So those are some of the ways that we use callrail. And I'm sure I'm missing something, but what other ways can our listeners use callrail as well?
Well, I mean, I think those are the absolutely the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got an environment now where people are so budget conscious
Mm-hmm.
and the margins are so slim on any of these properties that you're trying to flip that any little bit where you can shave an expense out of it, I think is beneficial to you and your business. So like you said, you've got the call tracking, which is that putting it on a piece of direct mail, putting it on another piece of direct mail. That's your
Mm-hmm.
source tracking. That's just any individual source that you have. If you are operating a website, you can get it down to a visitor level where every time that you have a new visitor roll to your website, it rolls a new phone number for that visitor. So you can get much more detailed session data about how that visitor is seeing you. Is there a keyword that's popping up that caused them to come to you? Just different things like that to really get down to the almost the minutia of how people are finding you and your business.
That's right.
But I think, you know, for as we go forward, this convert assist product, which then allows you to take, like you were saying, with the text follow ups and different things like that, to allow you to easily follow up and save time on the follow up and do almost an automatic follow up is truly beneficial in this type of business where you can't let those leads go and get cold.
That's right, man. So you're using artificial intelligence to really be able to benefit the user to convert more deals over into money, right? So what is, obviously this can take a little bit of a learning curve. What are some of the
Mm-hmm.
obstacles people might face, especially if they're not technologically advanced, right? Some people, it takes a little bit of time to learn how to use these things, how to set it up properly, how to use it effectively. What are some of the obstacles that people might face when getting into a software like this?
I mean, there's no doubt that that learning curve. I mean, for me, when I started at callrail, it was a definite learning curve of, oh my gosh, what is available on this platform? What can I do with it?
Mm-hmm.
And even now, there are things like call flows or automation rules or keyword tagging that is real in-depth kind of detailed things that I don't remember all the time that are available to the user. What we've introduced just recently is what we call callrail classroom, which is 12 individual ways for somebody to just work their way through ever more detailed steps on what is available with callrail.
Mm-hmm.
Because any type of technology, it can have that learning curve, but it can also, if you don't know what's possible, you don't really know how far along in the learning process you are. And what we've tried to do with this callrail classroom is give you a kind of a roadmap of where you can learn and what you can learn to get you a better understanding of what the platform can do for you and for your business.
So, what would some of the benefits be of using CallRail over something like a Google Voice? A lot of people may say to themselves, "Hey, and I get this a lot with my brand new coaching clients. They might say, "Hey, could I use Google Voice over CallRail?" And I don't necessarily recommend going that route for various reasons. But what are some of the benefits of using a system like callrail over a free system like Google Voice? Because callrail is not really that expensive either. But let's talk about some of the benefits.
I think it has to do with, are you getting the complete picture of all of your calls?
Mm-hmm.
CallRail allows you, because we're putting in those tracking numbers, regardless of whatever source they're coming from. It's not just a Google-based situation. You're getting that complete picture of everything that's phoning in. And so once you have that complete picture, that's the only real way that you can determine what lead sources are working, what aren't working, and then also, really aggregate that data so that you can get the best picture of what those conversations that you're having are actually looking like.
Another thing, just to add to that and complement that, what you just said, a lot of times people want to use the free, Google Voice service, but really it's going to cost you more money in the long run because you don't know where these calls are coming from. They can't be tracked. You're not able to use multiple phone numbers. You're really limited with the service. You get what you pay for pretty much, right? If it's free, you're going to be super limited, and you can't operate a business being limited. You got to have access to the tools and resources to be able to be profitable at the end of the day. So when you use a system like callrail, where I believe the starter plan is like $40 a month, $45 or something like that.
Yeah, $45.
$45 per month. You get access to more tools and resources and 5 phone lines where you can start tracking this stuff. And again, if you haven't heard me say it once, you'll hear me say it again. Tracking is super important, simply because you're able to know where you're putting your marketing dollars and being able to scale your business from there, right? When you use a free service like a Google Voice, yeah, it might be free. It's not costing you anything, but there's a lot of limitations to it. And you can test this out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. But I'm telling
Yeah.
you, as an experienced real estate investor, you want to have access. It's worth the $45 a month or whatever it is to really have your systems and processes set up. Let's
Well,
talk
and
about. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Google, no, Google with their Google business profiles, if you have a Google business profile now, they're eliminating chat and call history as of today.
Yep.
So you're not going to have any of that call history within your Google business profile, which is a pretty basic thing to have if you're doing
Mm-hmm.
any kind of marketing. So no longer will you have the ability to either have the messages and that chat history that's in the within the framework, or have the call history that's coming through your Google business profile.
Yeah, it's
So
not
they've
necessarily
made things
meant.
a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it's not meant to be a marketing and a marketing platform, maybe a business platform for your company. It's really they're creating it on an individual basis for you to be able to operate individually versus from a business standpoint. I definitely
Mm-hmm.
agree with that, man. What if, let's say let's talk about 3 to 5 ways that our users, starting from scratch, what are 3 to 5 steps that they can do in order to use callrail effectively?
And the initial step is going to be sign up for the platform and put in some source trackers,
Mm-hmm.
some numbers, look at whatever marketing activities you're doing, and be able to take a look, differentiate those marketing activities, and put a different phone number for each marketing activity. So,
So
like you
let's give
said,
them an
could
example
be,
of that.
I mean, depending on whatever, if you're running a direct mailer here, if you're running a direct mailer here, if you're running a direct mailer here, like you said earlier, that's I guess, the most simplest way to understand, okay, is this direct mailer the one that's generating my leads? Is this one the one generating my leads? Is this the one generating my
Mm-hmm.
leads? Yep. So I would start absolutely with that. Definitely, like you said, you can create call flows. They can go to your personal number, like you were talking about, so that you are not, but it doesn't see as a personal number. It's a
Mm-hmm.
tracking number.
Mm-hmm.
They see it as a tracking number. And then at the same time, you can have things added like whisper messages that let you know that it's coming from this particular direct mailer, or it came from this one. So you can differentiate. So okay, I sent this over here, or okay, I marketed this one over to here. So you have a little bit of an idea of what is happening and where the call might be coming from, to give you a better idea of how to respond to it.
I like to use it exactly the way you just described. I might have, the way I name the campaigns and the phone numbers that the people are calling. I might name it after the title of the postcard, the color of the postcard,
Mm-hmm.
and the number of the post. Let's say it's postcard number one. I might put, postcard number one, yellow, uh, handwritten, and property notification, for example, right? That way I know exactly where it's coming from, and it's a detailed title for me to be able to remember. And then same thing on postcard number 2 and 3 and 4. What we do is we run it directly, so you can answer the calls live. If you chose to, it could go directly through the app into your cell phone, right? But what we like to do is we have it set up to where people, if they do call us, it goes directly to a 24-hour voice recorded
Mm-hmm.
message. Then it notifies the entire team. It'll notify my entire acquisitions team through email and through their cell phones. So then they can immediately call somebody back, right? So that's the way we have it set up. But again,
Mm-hmm.
the tracking part, if anything else, you need the tracking part, and you need to be able to look like a business, and that's what the app allows you to do rather than you calling from your cell phone, right? So when people call you back, they're not hearing this is a Google voice message. They're
Mm-hmm.
listening to a real message provided by your phone line, or your business, I should say, and that makes you look even more professional when someone actually calls in. You know what I mean? So that's killer. So the first thing is to get your account set up and get the phone numbers and everything tracked. What would be the next part of the process?
Once you got those phone numbers put into the system, I think it really is a question of, like you said, do you have a team? If you've got a team that you're working with, then you've got some more advanced call flows that you might want to use, where you route those calls to where you want those calls to be routed.
Mm-hmm.
I would also, I think, even if it's just you as an individual, things like whisper messages that allow you to understand which source generated this lead so that you have that top of mind when you're actually answering the phone call, I think makes a lot of sense because it gives you a better context for answering that call.
So
If
what, what
you
what is a whisper message? Just for our audience to understand that.
So the whisper message will sit there and tell you while the phone call is ringing, but before you pick it up, it will tell you this call is coming from this source.
That's nice,
So
man.
yeah, it gives you that kind of context
Yeah.
where, in other contexts, like for law firms, it allows them to know, hey, this call is coming from a judge.
Mm-hmm.
So they prioritize things maybe a little bit differently than they might otherwise.
And another thing you could do is record these calls as well. I forgot to mention that. You can record these calls. So let's say you hire a staff, right? Let's say you have an acquisitions team as a real estate investor. You're not a beginner, you're an intermediate investor. You can listen in on these calls to see how your team is performing. And then if you're doing weekly meetings, which you should be if you have a team, you can maybe do some role playing. You can help them
Mhm.
improve on what they're asking or what they're saying in order to be able to convert more leads over into deals. So that's super important as well. Just having the ability to record those calls.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you have the ability not only to record it, we can transcribe it for you so that you have a
Mhm.
record of it, and then we can actually summarize it and generate sentiments for you to tell you, was it a positive call, was it a negative call, so that you have all of that stuff at your fingertips.
That's right, man. So what would be step number three? What would be that final part of the entire process once everything is
So
set up?
yeah, I mean, I think once you've determined those first two, if you're looking at it, you're saying, all right, I have a team. Even if I'm an individual, I think the call recording is important. I think the call recording is particularly important because you know that in your conversations that you're going to be having with homeowners, you're talking about potential deals and deal terms and different things like that. And you want to have a record of that, so that you know, hey, we talked about this price point, we talked about this kind of closing day, anything
Mhm.
like that. having that record and especially having the transcription makes tons of sense in this business.
Super important to take notes. If you ever watch any of my YouTube videos where I'm talking to sellers, and I have plenty of them on my YouTube channel, you'll see I'm constantly taking notes. With callrail, with the transcription, you can literally read the notes. Maybe you highlight the parts of the conversation that's going to allow you to know how to follow up with someone or what offer you made or whatever the case may be. But super important when you're able to transcribe these conversations. And really, if I'm writing, sometimes I might miss something, right? So I can focus on talking to the seller and then read the transcription after the fact to be able to pick up what I need to pick up out of it rather than taking notes while I'm on the phone. Super, super important to be effective on the phone. Real estate investing is more sales than anything. You guys have heard me say it before. Real estate investing is a sales game, especially wholesaling. It's a marketing and sales game, right? If you want to be able to be able to convert more leads, to be able to find more deals, you gotta pay attention to what the seller is saying. You gotta understand what they're telling you, and you gotta know how to rebut or at least solve a problem that they're going to have. The best way to do that is to listen and then solve the problem on the spot, right? So, great stuff, man. If we had to ask, how does callrail separate itself from other services like it in the industry? What would you say?
I think two things. One is the level of detail that we can get in terms of tracking your leads, all the way down to the various session details that go with website tracking. And then two would just be the amount of intelligence that we can generate from those conversations that you're having, the amount of insights that we can generate, and the amount of things like detailed bullet points of everything that was talked about on the call that you just can't get in other places.
That's right, man. And like I tell everybody else, I tell my coaching students this all the time. I highly recommend it. I'm actually trying to find a way to blend software into my CallRail into my software because I like it so much. But really, there's CallRail and then there's everybody else. At the end of the day, it really does separate itself from the other software that you can use for phone purposes in your real estate investing business. You got uh, phone lines, you got tracking availability, you have transcription and recording availability, you even got AI built into it, which will help you streamline your business a lot easier. You have everything you need, and they're constantly growing their software to help you grow your business at the end of the day. Check the link in the description box. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you guys can sign up for at least a trial. Check it out. I think that it will drastically help you in your real estate investing business. Now, where can our listeners learn more about callrail? Obviously, using the link in the description box, but what else? Where else can they get more information on callrail?
So, the website is callrail.com, callrail.com. And like you said, it's a 14-day free trial, so you can try the product anytime you want, no credit card required. So that's the easiest way to understand a little bit more about it.
There you go, man. So, free trial. You guys can really go in, play around with the system, get things set up. If you know what you're doing, I have plenty of, just about every course that I've ever created has me showing you how to use CallRail inside the course anyway, because I use it, and I only recommend tools that I use. And that's why we have Chris on the line today. But really, a free trial. Go in there, set it up, test it out. I think you're gonna love it. And you know, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, why don't you go ahead and set up a Google Voice account, set up a CallRail account, and see which one you like best. I kind of know which one you're going to go with after the 14 days, but to be honest with you, there's no comparison between the two. So I highly recommend you guys check the link in the description box. And Chris, if you had to provide our listeners with some last words of advice, what would those words be?
I think just you're in as tough an environment for a real estate investor as there has been at least in 15 years. And I actually think it's probably a little bit tougher now because the price points are not falling down the way they
Mhm.
did in 2008, 9, 10. So any little edge that you can get in terms of understanding where your leads are coming from and how you can convert those leads is vital to how you grow as a business.
Absolutely, man. You know, it's the key right now in real estate is being mindful of your money, right? And know where your money is going and also know how to convert these deals. The best way to do that is to track everything. So you can see where the performance is coming from and you can make corrections and you can continue to scale. Um, I'm making money in real estate right now. My students are making money. I show it a lot on my YouTube channel. If you're a part of my community, the Deal Pro community, you'll see, I'm posting something almost every week, students making money. Why? Because honestly, we're all using callrail, but, and that's not a plug. Well, it is, but it's not, right? I'm just telling you the truth. We're all using callrail, but in addition to that, we're able to track what's happening in our business and we're able to see where we're making the progress. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. Take the 14-day free trial. Chris, I would love to have you back, man. Maybe we can go into further real estate investing discussions. Real estate law is a big thing, obviously. Talk about residential and commercial real estate and all these other things. I don't want this to be our first and only podcast. Why don't we regroup? If you guys like to see that, leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know if you want Chris back. Uh, let me know how you like callrail in the comment section. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, click the notification bell. I really appreciate you guys being a part of the Deal Pro community. Thanks for watching this Deal Pro podcast. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.